We're back. Episode number 13, Silver and Blue Huddle. As per corner, Richblkman. We're missing one person, but it's okay. The show must go on. We must sit up here and talk Cowboy Nation, man, after what we just saw this past couple of days. So we are back. We're back. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be back off of victory. Like, it doesn't matter what you guys think or what you guys say. I'm just happy to be back, and we can sit up here and talk about the victory that we just had. Yeah, a lot of things happened in the victory, but a win's a win. A win's a win.
In the NFL, wins are wins. Yeah.
Wins are wins. A wins or win. And I'm happy that we beat the Detroit Lions, man, 20-19. I mean, unfortunately, the Detroit Lions did not score more points than the Dallas Cowboys. So that is an L in my book. Okay. So we won by 1 point. Yeah, a lot of things happened, but we'll get into that in just a moment. But let's hop right into it. Let's talk offense. Dallas Cowboys offense looked pretty good in the very beginning. Like, their first couple of drives looked pretty good, very promising. I know CeeDee Lamb actually fumbled on like the 2-yard line or something like that, 3-yard line, which is like fumbling forward and into the end zone is probably one of the worst rules in the NFL. It kind of is. It rewards the defense, like if they punch it out, maybe. But CeeDee Lamb just lost it, like.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you got to be better than that. You can't afford to fumble that football. You have an opportunity to really put the Lions on notice right there, right? And you know, CD had a great game. Like, let's not take anything away from CeeDee Lamb. Right. CeeDee Lamb was a dog in that game, and he played so well that. You know, and it didn't matter where he was, right? Right, absolutely. Left, slot, backfield. Didn't make any difference. He was open. And the Cowboys made an effort to get him to football. I think they learned that from the last game in where they gave him some run in the first and the fourth, but in the second and third, he just disappeared. So they finally found a way to get him involved. But that play right there, that's what takes you from being a good team to a great team. Right. You can't have that fumble. You cannot have that fumble. Regardless if you like the rule or not, we have benefited from that rule as Cowboy fans. So it sucks because we were right there to get points. I think my biggest thing for us is, where's the run game, Rich? Like, where is it? It just like look at the numbers, Rich. Right? Like, what did Tony Pollard do?
16 for 49 yards, and before he even went positive, he was in a negative for quite a long time. Like, I know they saying they wanted to get him going, hand him the ball, get him going in the run game and pass game. They ran a few screens or whatever, but everything that Tony Pollard was doing in the first half, maybe even going into the third quarter, was negative yards. Yeah. At that point, I was like, let's just treat the freaking Lions like we treat the Eagles and just come out and just pass on them, because the secondary is really kind of weak a little bit. I mean, I know they run a lot of man defense and everything like that, but secondary is kind of weak. But Tony Pollard, 16 for 49. CeeDee Lamb, as we talked about, 17 targets. They made sure they got CeeDee involved this game, which was good. So 13 receptions on 227 yards, including that nice Dak Prescott escaping from the pocket, dodging a freaking tackle that probably should have been a sack. That probably was going to be a safety because he was on him. So dude didn't wrap up. So Dak Prescott was able to get away, go out of the pocket, and throw it deep to CeeDee Lamb, who actually beat his man. The defender actually fell down a little bit. I ain't gonna like cap that much, but he did fall down. But
right,
that happens.
It's a dot. It's a dot from Dak Prescott, right?
Absolutely.
Rolling to his right, off of his back foot, just an absolute laser.
Right.
To CeeDee Lamb. Give your man a chance. But see, that's what we talked about, Rich. Right? Just throw the ball up there and give 88 a chance to go get it.
Exactly. He should be the first option and the only option.
It's got to be the first option, right? It's got to be. But going forward, though, teams are going to scheme CeeDee Lamb, right? They're going to find a way to take him out of the game. And so for me going forward, it's got to be, how do the Cowboys, how do they fix the run game? Is it blocking? Is it Tony? Because to me, it looked like blocking. It didn't look like really, Tony Pollard really didn't have a chance as soon as the ball was snapped. And he's kind of trying to play, you know, he's trying to just get out of his own way at some point. And it's like, do we just not know how to run block anymore? I don't get it. If it's Tony Pollard, a running back just became available on the market, Dalvin Cook. And I would love to see the Cowboys go make a run at him. They looks like they're going to sign Lyle Collins as well to come back, try and bolster up this offensive line. So I don't know what it is. But there were a lot of bright spots in this offense, Rich. You talked about CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott played well, but let's talk about some guys that don't get a lot of credit, and it's this offensive line. TJ Bass came in this game after Tyler Smith got hurt.
Right.
And TJ Bass played his tail off.
He's a rookie at that too.
And so the Cowboys got some tough decisions coming up. Biadish's contract is coming up. They're going to have to pay him. Tyler is a young guy, so his contract's going to be coming up. You get a guy like TJ Bass that you feel can step in. Could really help this offensive line out and making some continuity with this group. Because when we look at it, Tyron Smith is not young anymore, right?
Nope.
And there's got to be, and we've seen Tyler Smith play left tackle. Maybe TJ Bass steps into that guard role. We move Tyler Smith back out to left tackle. But at the end of the day, this Cowboys offense better find a run game, because in the playoffs, it comes down to two things. Can you stop the run, and can you run the football?
Exactly.
And right now, we can't do either. And that's the sucky part about it. But when you look at this offense, when they're going, they are dangerous. And they are dangerous at home, especially when they get going. And if you get a guy like CeeDee Lamb going like that, where teams have to you have to double team him. If you remember the old days of Dez Bryant when Dez was going off, they were basically running punt coverage on Dez Bryant, where they had two guys out there as stingers trying to stop Dez Bryant. And I think CeeDee Lamb is getting to that level. And if you do that, that's going to open up for guys like, Jake Ferguson,
right.
Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks had another good game, couple good big catches. Of course, he had the touchdown. So, again, as we get into this last game against the Commanders, I got to see a run game.
Absolutely, I agree.
And it's got to be evident that we can block, especially block good teams, because we're gonna see some stout defensive lines coming up in the playoffs.
Absolutely, and I also we saw a Deuce Vaughn sighting too. Little Deuce came in there and ran like for 2 yards. He also ran like a little screen play or whatever. Deuce, shout out to Deuce. I know we got on him about his little blocking like in the beginning of the season, but he did throw a key block on 1 or 2 plays on the defender. So shout out to little Deuce. Hopefully that continues, man. And we definitely got some running back problems. And like you said, we can definitely go out and hopefully at least entertain Dalvin Cook. He'll be a good addition to the backfield as well. You mentioned Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks for 5 for 60 had a critical touchdown as well. He was wide open. Like the routes that these Cowboy receivers be running, like they create so much separation that the defender really don't have a chance. Like that touchdown pass to Brandon Cooks, like it was so much separation, and Dak Prescott just threw a dot right in the end zone, and we needed that. And like you said, this game should have been blown open in the first quarter. I counted at least 21-3 in the first quarter if it wasn't for those mistakes and Dak Prescott throwing that interception or whatever. But offensively,
again, the interception, I don't really think that's Dak's fault though, right?
No, it wasn't.
I think if Dak is honest, he thought he had a free play with the offsides there.
Absolutely.
And he didn't really have a free play, and that just kind of came back and bite him. But again, let's talk about Dak. 8 picks for the year. What did he say? I won't have 10 this year.
Won't have 10. And he's not going to have 10 at all.
And unless he throws 2 of them at Washington, which I don't think he's going to do.
Right, I don't see that at all.
He's going to end the year with 8 picks. One of the best in the league. So maybe the 15 picks was the anomaly, like we've been saying as Cowboy fans, because, he's gotten a lot of flack for the picks from last year. And he's a totally different quarterback this year. His confidence level is on a different atmosphere right now, right? You talk about Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson. He's throwing the ball around, throwing these guys open. That's the great thing that I'm loving about this, is that he's finding a way to find these guys and get them open.
Right. And nobody really want to talk about interceptions because the leader in interceptions don't have a star on their helmet. So that's the reason why they want to talk interceptions.
Right.
But before we move on to the defense, there was one offensive play call that I did not like from Mike McCarthy, and we're going to talk about play calling as well. That 3rd and 13 toss play to Tony Pollard. Like, what was that? 3rd and 13. Like, I know I may do that in Madden knowing that I'm going to go for it on 4th down, but in a real game, you do not do a toss play to your running back on 3rd and 13. Like, what was he thinking? Like,
again, you have you have two great wide receivers right now. And if I'm correct, I think CeeDee Lamb is like leading a majority of the categories for wide receivers right now.
Right.
And why not give him an opportunity to go get the first down? Brandon Cooks, how many great balls to Jake Ferguson that just get knocked out at the last second, or Jake just couldn't hold on to? I mean, just some really good throws. I didn't understand. There were several play calls I didn't understand, Rich, and that was definitely one of them. Right. You don't throw a toss to Tony Pollard. To me, that's like giving up. That's like saying, okay, you might as well just punt on third down at that point. If you don't believe in your offense, just punt the football. Kind of catch them off guard, punt it on third down. Like, who was that did that against us? The Eagles did that against us one time. They came out and they were kind of like caught back in their end zone and punted the ball on third down. It was kind of crazy, but yeah, it was just a horrible play call. Other than that, I felt the offense played well. They just couldn't finish. You got to find a way to finish these drives, and that's really what came down to making this a 20. That's why the game was 21-20. Not because the Cowboys played bad. They just couldn't finish drives.
Yep. And that's what, like, to me, like, watching that first quarter, I kind of felt like the Detroit Lions maybe even felt like they wasn't even going to win that game at all, the way that the Cowboys were playing. Like, the Cowboys, the first two drives, they drove all the way down the field, made a mistake, and then Detroit like came back out and still wasn't able to like do anything on their offensive end. But then the game turned, and then it was like all downhill for the Cowboys after that. I don't know why the play calling changed. I don't know what they felt, but it was just like, it didn't seem like it was the same Cowboys that happened in the first two drives. So I don't know what happened with that.
Yeah, and that's what happens, Rich, right? Some things don't go right a couple series in a row, and all of a sudden you get down on yourself. And it filters over to the defense too. And they gave up some couple long drives, allowed the Lions to kind of get down and score some points. And that really hurt. That really hurt what the offense was able to do. And then it felt like they kind of just shut it down. It's like, open that bad boy up again and start taking some shots. Luckily, it didn't come back and bite us at the end.
Yeah, exactly. And now, speaking about the defense, man, overall, I think the defense kind of like held their own. Like, I was kind of feeling that, hey, offense need to do something because the defense is out there balling. Like, they got interceptions. They was getting tackled for losses. Shout out to my man, DeMarcus Lawrence. Block shedding need to be on 99 on Madden because he made like 2 or 3 critical block sheds that was able to stop the freaking Lions, I believe, on fourth down, or at least like critical running plays that they had, that they was kind of gashing us a little bit, that they moved down the field a little bit, but when it mattered the most, DeMarcus Lawrence was right there and block shedded and got the freaking tackle for a loss, which saved the Cowboys.
That whole defensive line going after them, having some tackle for losses. Dan Campbell from the Lions actually talked about it in his press conference today. He talked about, DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons kind of disrupting that run game. They would have a couple big runs, like you say, and then, on first or second down, DeMarcus Lawrence would shoot in there and tackle, 3-4 yards for a loss. But to me, and, shout out our guy, So Amazing. Trust us, he wanted to be here. Stuff happens. So Cowbell, I'm going to give the Cowbell this week because we can't stop that tradition, right?
Right.
I want to give the Cowbell to DeMarcus Lawrence, but there's a special guy on that defense that played his tail off, and I'm going to give it to Donovan Wilson.
Nice. I love it.
And Donovan Wilson, tackle for losses. He's playing in the run game. The big interception. I mean, this is a guy from Texas A&M that, when he first came to the Cowboys, there was a lot of talk about he wasn't going to play much. And he has worked his tail off to get on this starting roster, and he has not looked back since. He is the enforcer of this defense. Kind of like, we had Jaron Kearse last year, the last couple years. Jaron Kearse is really, he'll get up in your face. Donovan Wilson is that guy that brings his hat every single week. And he played a great game. So I'm giving him the Cowbell award. You could have gave it to anybody. Jordan Lewis with a big time interception. And of course, that pick is all because of the pressure that the Cowboys front four is getting on the quarterback. Jared Goff is like, oh my God, I got to get rid of this right now. Jordan Lewis read that perfectly, made a great play. Both of the picks are guys that went down and go get it and then are smart enough to roll over to say, okay, this ball can't touch the ground. Great play by both those guys. Donovan Wilson, the Cowbell winner from the Lions game, played a great game, was proud of how the young man played.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And like I know those picks, those interceptions that we actually had, I kind of felt like they was maybe baiting Jared Goff because they had gave up those slant routes to the outside like 3 or 4 times through the course of the game. So when you really need them, they're not there, and Jared Goff throws an interception. So shout out to the defense, Michael Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and everybody else that was getting that pressure because it definitely mattered. And you know what? You see what happens when you don't like hold Michael Parsons or when they let him go. A sack normally happens. I know Michael Parsons still did not get a holding call this game, but he had a few disruptions. He had a few sacks. No, he didn't have a sack, but he had some tackle for losses that was critical during the game. And when you're not holding him, he is very impactful, and then he makes like quarterbacks throw the ball early and get running game out of rhythm and stuff like that. I saw him chase down a few players as well. So shout out to the defense, man. I'm so happy that we was able to get this W for them because I know the prior week before that and probably the past 2 weeks, the defense played their ass off and the offense has kind of slacked a little bit and was not able to help out the defense as much. But Deron Bland played pretty good. Lewis, like you said, Donovan Wilson, Marquise Bell had 10 total tackles, 8 solos, 1 tackle for a loss. Wilson had 11, 6. Like they was tackling. They was out there tackling, bro. Like
yeah, and you have to versus a team like the Lions who have weapons all over the place.
Right.
Sam Laporta, of course, we were worried about Sam Laporta he kind of came on there at the end when the Cowboys kind of playing shell defense, but pretty much was non-existent. I know he had an injury during the game, kind of hindered him a little bit, but Sam Laporta was quiet. Amon St. Brown had, a big first half. Didn't really hear much from him in the second half. The Cowboys kind of tightened up. They got stops when they need to get stops. But I think the big thing for me also is this team. I know it's not really a bend don't break defense. It's a get after you, get in your face, cause turnovers. And when those things aren't happening, it was good to see this defense really tighten up and say, okay, we're going to hold you guys to 3 here, or we're going to cause a turnover, or hey, you're going to go for it on 4th down like Dan Campbell loves to do. And we're just going to play great defense. Huge stops from that defense. When the offense, like you say, Rich, when the offense is not scoring touchdowns and that defense has to come out and say, okay, guys, they didn't get 7. We got to get a stop here and get the ball back to this offense. Those were big stops from this defense. Of course, we give up another fake punt, which is just like, I don't understand it. Like, guys, we should be playing every punt like it's a fake.
Like it's a fake,
just
right.
Everything is a fake. And I know they talked about this in meetings and coming leading up to this, that Dan Campbell is a risk taker. Obviously, we saw it in the game. Multiple 4th down. He goes for a 2-point conversion at the end of the game 3 times when he should have kicked the extra point, tried to go to overtime. But I just don't understand how we keep giving up fake punts. That cannot happen. You cannot give offenses multiple possessions when you get a stop, especially your defense. They get a stop, they get off the field. Next thing, they got to come right back on the field, sudden change, and go back and make another stop. But again, defense played well. This game should not have been close. This game should have been a blowout, and it wasn't. So it was good to see this Cowboy team go through some adversity in the game and find a way to come out with a win. Regardless what you believe at the end of the game, it's a win. And the defense had some big role. Of course, the offense played a big role in that. Brandon Aubrey continues to be Brandon Aubrey.
Absolutely. And like you said, we did stop some of Detroit Lions' key playmakers. Even like the run game, Detroit tried to run on us in the first quarter. And like shout out to the defensive line for coming in there, penetrating, and making those runs a little bit more tougher to where Detroit kind of like went away from them a little bit and then like come out and just run, which we've seen them do in prior weeks. I mean, I know Montgomery still had 65 yards and Gibbs had 43 yards. They had some good runs. But when we got down critical and like they got into their little red zone, they wasn't able to really run the ball. So shout out to the defense on that. Like defense played excellent. Like that is a Super Bowl winning defense right there. They play like that and the offense help out a little bit more and faster. We're gonna go far in the playoffs, man. We are going to go far. So definitely shout out to the defense on that. So now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Like everybody wants to hear us talk about it. Everybody wants to hear our opinion. The call, the 2-point conversion. Like, do you hear that? Do you see that? Do you see that? I don't see that. And I don't hear that because number 68 did not report. Okay, so he didn't report. Number 70 did, but 68 didn't. And that's my story, and that's what I'm sticking with. But
okay, we can talk about this several different ways. First, Why are you sending all 3 linemen over there?
Facts.
The Dan Campbell came out today, and he basically, or yesterday or today, one of the 2 days, and he basically said, "Hey, we were trying to confuse the Dallas Cowboys." Well, it confused the Cowboys. The only problem is it also confused the officials. The second thing for me is they announce it on the loudspeaker. Number 70 has reported eligible. None of the Lions staff, their sideline, the offensive huddle, nobody said, "Hey, no. 68 is eligible, not 70." Nobody. They just let it go. So I get the frustration, right? Because obviously the play you draw up with the tackle eligible that you wanted caught the 2-point conversion. You thought you won the game with 29 seconds left or whatever. Of course, Dak came out today and said we would have still drove down the field and got a field goal and won. But, nobody said anything. The loudspeaker goes off and he says, "Hey, 70 has reported eligible." At some point, the Lions should have stopped right then and said, "Okay, no, wait. 68 is supposed to be eligible, not 70. They didn't do that. So I don't feel sorry for him. The other thing for me is you didn't get the 2-point conversion. Okay, you backed up 5 yards from the penalty, kicked the extra point. They didn't. They get a free play because Micah Parsons is offsides. So you move up another 5 yards and say, "Okay, well, we can't run the special play we've been working on all week. So now let's kick the field goal." No. Dan Campbell says, "No, we're still going for it." So at the end of the day, you had 3 chances to get it. You didn't get it. I don't feel sorry for you. But the real story is, let's go back to the Cowboys' possession when Peyton Hendershot gets called for tripping. You go back and look at the tape. It's actually Aiden Hutchinson who tried to trip Tony Pollard. That should have been on Aiden Hutchinson. It should have been a penalty on the Lions. Free 15 yards for the Cowboys, which would have put us inside the 20-yard line. Clock running. They would have had to use all their timeouts. We would have run the football out. The game is over. There's a bad call. But only thing we want to talk about is the tackle eligible call. It's the only thing that's talked about. I have yet to see a Lions fan, and maybe there's a Lions fan that's going to watch this. Maybe you guys can finally admit, yes, it was a bad call on Hendershot. It should not have been called tripping on Peyton Hendershot. It should have been on Aiden Hutchinson, and the Cowboys should have won the game anyway. The 2-point conversion never even happens.
Correct.
So at that point, I'm like, I don't feel sorry for you. Your coach had an opportunity to kick the extra point 3 times. He didn't. And to me, that's on you guys as Lions. That's not on the Dallas Cowboys. And the play should have never happened in the first place. So for me, it's just a wash. You should have won the game in regulation. You had 4 quarters. It didn't come down to that last play. You had opportunities with the ball. Your coach went for it on 4th down several times. You didn't get it. But that's all we want to talk about is you trying to confuse the Dallas Cowboys and it not working out.
Correct.
Sorry for you.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you as well. And like you just pointed out, the Detroit Lions left minty points on the field by going for it on 4th down in field goal range. So let's talk about that. Like, you left at least 6 points on the field. Let's also talk about Jared Goff pass on the second 2-point conversion. Well, no, the third one. It was the second one was Michael Parsons offsides, and that one was intercepted. But that third one, where he had 2 options wide open, and he threw it to the outside, which was open and was going to convert if he threw a better pass. So why we're not talking about that? All we want to talk about is the first.
That's not the narrative. Instead, we'd like to get on X, formerly known as Twitter, and ask Congress to step in. I saw a Lions fan this week say Congress should step in and change this ruling. There's also a rule where the commissioner can step in and change, an outcome of a game. It's like, guys, come on. If we start changing rulings because of bad calls from the commissioner, that opens a whole can of worms. You know how many missed calls there are in a game?
Right.
That just don't get. I mean, Micah Parsons has yet to have a holding call called for him in 46 quarters. What are we talking about? We talking about a tackle eligible play that didn't work out. I got no sympathy for you. I'm sorry. The Lions still won the NFC North. You're going to the playoffs. Congratulations. You're the 3 seed. Enjoy the 3 seed. You get a home playoff game. You took a L on this one. It didn't come down to the last play. There were so many other factors that really played a part in that, and that's just one of them.
Exactly, and I totally agree. And if you remember a few weeks ago when we played the Eagles, like the same thing happened with the Dallas Cowboys, where we had somebody that was eligible, and they said that they didn't report, and they took points off the board from us. So cry us a river. Like, you're not going to get any sympathy over here from the Dallas Cowboy fans,
right?
Because the same thing happened to us a few weeks ago. So it happens. Like, you guys try to confuse us and end up confusing the referee. Not to mention that this player was reporting eligible all game long. So I can kind of see where the referee kind of got a little bit confused. And looking at the video, looking at the tape, like, I don't really see where 68 really made that much of an effort to really get the referee's attention. But either way, you still had 2 more opportunities after that. And before that, had you not gone for the 4th downs and kick your field goals, none of that would even matter. So you're leaving points on the field. Blame your coach, blame your quarterback for not throwing an accurate pass, take the L, and the Cowboys are okay with a win. A win is a win. Well, I'll take it.
Exactly. At the end of the day, the Cowboys are the most penalized football team in the NFL. Exactly. I have no sympathy for flags being thrown against your team. I really don't, because we get them thrown against us all the time.
All the time.
And again, let's say the announcer goes 68 has reported eligible. You don't think the Cowboys are guarding 68?
Exactly. He was too wide open. He was too wide open.
It's okay. I understand. Listen, I get the frustration as a Cowboys fan. I get the frustration. I see calls all the time that I'm like, there were some missed calls. There was pass interference that should have got called for the Lions that didn't get called. And I was like, ooh, that was probably pass interference, but they didn't throw the flag, so I'll take it.
I take it.
You just have to roll with it. Again, like Rich said, how many points did the Lions leave on the field when they could have been kicking field goals or kick the extra point and go into overtime? Maybe you get the ball, you score, you hold the Cowboys to 3, you don't let them score or whatever, and you win the ball game anyway. Nobody wants to talk about that. We just want to talk about 70 and 68 reporting eligible.
And one last point, I know everybody has been saying the referees have been bad all year long. So that's just, the referees have been bad all year long. Like, every single game, you can point out where a referee has missed a call, cost the team a game. So Detroit Lions is just y'all week. So, oh well, suck it up. Yeah. It's just y'all week. So let's move on, man. The Dallas Cowboys got the Washington Commanders coming up this upcoming week. And it is very important that the Dallas Cowboys win this game against the Washington Commanders. And I'm happy that they actually have something to play for, because it's very important. Because if they win this game versus the Commanders, which they should, hopefully it's not close, hopefully it's no drama, hopefully the Cowboys just come out and just dominate and put an end to the Commanders so they can have this number 2 seed, and then they can get a whole bunch of home playoff games. But let's preview the Commanders and the freaking Cowboys. Not that it's a lot to really talk about, but the Commanders are still a very tough team to play. I mean, they can turn it on and turn it off at any point. They are very capable of beating any NFL team on any given Sunday. So the Dallas Cowboys cannot take them lightly, and they just got to come out and just dominate and put an end to the Washington Commanders. Like, how do you feel about it? Give me a score prediction, and let's talk about that game right quick.
Yeah, and it's a division game, so obviously they're going to be up for it. It's the last game of their year. They know it's the last game of their year. So they're going to come out and play hard. They have an opportunity to knock the Cowboys out of the 2 seed. There's just a lot of things. The Commanders got bulletin board material, right, to go in there and say, okay, it's the Cowboys coming to town. It's a road game. They're going to probably talk about, hey, the Cowboys, they don't play well on the road. We got a chance to do something crazy. And it's like, I just want the Cowboys to come out and just make a statement, right? I know it's the Commanders, and nobody's going to bat an eye if the Cowboys go in there and beat them by 40 points, right? To me, you have to go in there and beat them by 40 points. That's my entire thing, is you have to go make a statement versus Washington and say, look, we're the 2 seed. We're going to go into the playoffs on a high note, rolling. We get a playoff game at home, possibly 2 at home, if we win the first game. And so let's go make a statement. I think the Cowboys come out, they assert their dominance. They make up for some of the mistakes they had against the Lions. And this is really a 35-14 game for the Cowboys, right? If not more than that. I expect Dak Prescott to be on point. CeeDee Lamb, they do not have a great secondary. Obviously, they trade away a lot of their defensive line. It's in Chicago. It's in San Francisco. So I expect the run game to get going. And so I expect this to be a big win for the Cowboys by at least 21.
Right. And the first time we played the Commanders, obviously it was at home. It was 45-10. But that game was still kind of close going until like the third quarter or whatever. It was about 21-10. I think the Cowboys might have got the ball after halftime, but they didn't really blow it open until like the fourth quarter where they scored 25 points. But we definitely got to come out with a much better effort and more intensity in that first quarter, second quarter, and just really put it on the Commanders because they're able to throw themselves back into the game. I mean, Sam Howell had over 300 yards passing in that first game, one interception. You got Scary Terry out there as well. Samuel had 9 receptions for 100 yards the first game. So the Cowboys really got to be on their P's and Q's and come out and dominate and not really like take the Commanders for granted because like you said, the Commanders have that motivation to 1, beat the Cowboys, 2, knock out the Cowboys in the second seed, moving down to the 5th seed or whatever. So you give a team like that type of motivation and you get the Cowboys who may just come out and be like, oh, they're going to come out and lay down for us. And it don't happen, then the Cowboys are sitting up here having the sad face that they lost, and now they on the road for the first game. So I totally agree.
And they won't have anybody to blame if they come out in this game and they don't come out chomping at the bit to get after the Commanders. They won't have anybody to blame but themselves. Your destiny is in your own hands. Shout out to Arizona Cardinals for helping us out, putting us in this position. You have a chance to finish the year off as the 2 seed in the NFC, which means your ghost, your boogeyman, the San Francisco 49ers, you don't have to see them until the NFC Championship. And that's if they make it, right? Now they have home field advantage. They get a bye the first week, so they're going to get some time to get some guys healthy. So it's one of those things that the Commanders always play us tough, right? And you talked about Scary Terry. I don't know if is Sam Howell going to play? I know they had benched Sam Howell, and then the other quarterback got hurt, and so Sam had to come back out and play this week. So we don't even know who their quarterback really is. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Sam Howell because he played well in week 16 or 17, whatever it was. Right. But this is the statement game. Yes, it's the Commanders, but this is where you go make a statement going into the playoffs where you're expecting to not only compete, but win a Super Bowl. We've been talking about this for too damn long, Richblkman. It's time to put this to bed and go win us a championship. They have the team to do it this year more than probably ever before. Mm-hmm. And so now it's time to put it all and make it all go our way. And they can do that. They got to start that. The playoffs start right now versus the Washington Commanders. Absolutely. It doesn't start next week when they play the Bucs or whoever they're going to play. It starts right now, the last game of the week, going on the road in a hostile environment, a team that doesn't like us, for a chance to secure your spot. Let's make a statement, find a way, defensively, offensive, special teams, complete game, and go dominate these Washington Commanders and just put it into this season, an exclamation point on this season.
And I agree. And the Commanders actually was hanging with the 49ers for quite a while in the first half. So it's not like they just going to come down and lay down for the Dallas Cowboys because they was in that 49er game for a minute. I was watching it. I was thinking, hey, the Washington Commanders are about to upset the 49ers, which would still have helped the Dallas Cowboys as well. So, but they at the end, they kind of like the Commanders became the Commanders.
That talent just eventually, Debo, Ayuk, and Christian McCaffrey, they eventually just take over. And there's only so much you can do when you don't have the same kind of talent on that roster. Right. And so it's going to be one of those things where you have to weather the storm too, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to come out and they're going to fight. Can you weather the storm versus them like they did against the 49ers? And then your talented players make plays and just put the Commanders away. We'll see. Right. I expect a big game from the Cowboys. And I'm expecting a blowout is what I want to see. Right. Please, Dallas, make it happen.
And it's a 4:00 game too, so they should be nice and ready. But hopefully Prescott is back and we don't have to really face Sam Howell. But Jacoby's a mobile quarterback. I know we kind of struggle a little bit with the mobility of a quarterback a little bit. He ain't that mobile, but he's mobile enough to go out there and make some plays or whatever. But hopefully we see Sam Howell. But Sam Howell is dangerous too, man. let's not take them lightly, okay? Just come out and just bust them in the nose. And what did Michael Parker say? I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence just bust them over in the head over and over and over again.
In the mouth.
And then do it some more. So,
exactly.
Yeah, so that's the Dallas Cowboys Commanders prediction, man. So I got the Cowboys hopefully just dominating. I'm going to go back to about 45-20, the Dallas Cowboys. And I think it's going to be over and done with in the very beginning.
Kill him.
So before we get out of here, man, let's give a huge shout out to Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys for finally allowing Jimmy Johnson into the Ring Hall of Fame. So shout out to Jerry Jones for coming to his senses, and shout out to the Dallas Cowboys organization for finally realizing that Jimmy Johnson. Did I say Jimmy Johnson the first time?
Yeah.
All right, Jimmy Johnson for finally allowing him into that ceremony, man. It was a beautiful ceremony. Of course, Jimmy Johnson came out there and said what he said about them Cowboys or whatever, but it was long overdue.
Who does that? Yeah. Who does that? Do you see like teams, getting the entire halftime show on national television?
Exactly.
Only the Dallas Cowboys, right?
Exactly.
America's team. The thing about Jimmy Johnson is you got two guys in Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson that got two massive egos, right? Mm-hmm. And so, it took a while for those two to finally get on the same page and finally say, okay, look, what we did here together, it really is never going to be duplicated again, right? The salary cap kind of ruined some of the things that Jimmy and Jerry were able to do early on in that. I mean, they flipped Herschel Walker for, Hall of Famers, right? That just doesn't happen. They fleeced the Minnesota Vikings. They went to Minnesota's house. They put on some soft music. They poured a glass of wine and just fleeced the Minnesota Vikings. And it got the Dallas Cowboys players that were part of that championship, all three of them. And so to see Jimmy Johnson finally get the credit he deserves. Now, he shouldn't get all the credit, right? Because, yes, Jerry had to make a lot of those decisions. Right. But Jimmy Johnson and his players have all come out and talked about him. He was the type of coach that didn't put up with no bull crap, right? Like, he'd cut a player on Wednesday if you were late. Like, he just didn't play. And that's what the Cowboys need. I still think the Cowboys need some of that right now. Like, I know these are grown men, but at the end of the day, this is a business. This is a job. You don't go if you don't go to your job on time, your boss is not going to be like, man, Rich a good guy. Right. He's one of our. No. If you don't go to work, it's time for you to go. And so I think a lot of people are saying the curse is finally lifted.
I hope so.
Jimmy Johnson is in the Ring of Honor. I certainly hope it is. Here's the thing. What if the Cowboys win the Super Bowl this year? There's gonna be a lot of conspiracy theorists. See if you'd have just put Jimmy Johnson in earlier, we could have been winning championships. Tony Romo could have had him a championship, but no, y'all had to keep Jimmy Johnson out. But it was good to see it. It was a good ceremony. It's good to see, the triplets all there supporting him. Drew Pearson, all the guys that are in the Ring of Honor, Charles Haley. It's good to see those guys. My question is, after that, who's next? Like, who do you put in the Ring of Honor next? There are a lot of good candidates to put in the Ring of Honor. Obviously, at some point, Jason Witten has to go in. Right. To me, Tony Romo has to go in.
Des Bryant, probably. Right.
Des Bryant. There's just so many good wide receivers. So many good players the Cowboys have had, right, that you got to put in. Does Zeke get in? I don't think Zeke does.
I know who plays running back. Marion Barber, right?
I would love to see Marion Barber get in there. There's just so many good players. They're going to run out of room on a Ring of Honor. They're going to have to have another ring at some point, right. Multiple rings to put all the amazing players that the Cowboys have had. But right. I think that's the other big thing is who's next.
I think Zeke gets in, and maybe not so soon, but I think eventually he does make it in there because he was very important to the Cowboy organization when he first came. Like him and Dak was a good little duo when they first came into the league. They went 13-3 Dak's rookie season. So
yeah,
he'll get in there eventually. I don't know how long he's going to take, but definitely hope that the curse was lifted. It was kind of strange how that happened. We put Jimmy in there, and then the Eagles go out and lose, and then we had the number 2 seed. So if we go out and just make it to 2-0 and beat the 49ers, like it's a great story. It's kind of like the NFL is writing a perfect script. Like, and I hope it's true. I want it to come through.
Yeah,
Like, put
I'm with
Jimmy
you.
in the ring. Cowboys get number 2 seed. They beat the 49ers in the NFC Championship. They go to the Super Bowl, win it in Vegas. You can't get no that is good for TV. And I hope it happens. I
Yeah,
hope it
I'm
happens.
with you. It's about time, is what it is.
Absolutely.
It's due.
Way overdue, like 25 plus years, man. Way overdue. So there you have it, guys. The Silver and Blue Huddle, episode number 13. My man, Expert Corner, Richblkman, talking about everything Dallas Cowboys, man. Remember, you can see us on all our different streaming platforms of your choice. Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, I believe is what it's called. But we are everywhere you think that. We're everywhere. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. So make sure you guys drop a comment. If you write a comment and you ask us a question, we'll be sure to answer it live here on stream next podcast. And we're hoping that the Dallas Cowboys go out and dominate the Commanders. Anything you want to say before we get off?
No, man. Appreciate all the support, man. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Like Rich said, man, put a comment in the chat. Tell us who you want to see next in the Ring of Honor. And we'll talk about it next podcast. But hopefully next week we're here with a big, huge win over the Commanders.
Absolutely. Silver and Blue Huddle, episode 13. Expert Corner, Richblkman. We out. Peace out.